So I'm going to be using the wheelbarrow and the watering can set, just the wheelbarrow down here. I'm going to be using the arch garden gate. I'm going to be using the beautiful Butterfly Meadow chipboard as well. You can see the pieces that I've used there, they've been popped out. I'm going to be using the tiny flowers and leaves, and then the bigger leaves and ferns also. And lastly, it's all going to be pulled together by using the Butterfly Meadow Paper Pack. Now the papers are absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, there's lots of different ones in there. I'm going to be using quite a plain background there, but I just love the colourways. So the first thing I need to do is build up my card base. So I've taken a regular folding card base, and I've cut this front panel almost in half, and using this part I've actually taken it a little bit thinner and scored just about, not quite an inch into the end. However you want to score it, you need to ensure that the long edge overlaps from here, overlaps that flap there, just so that would secure that in. So I'm just going to first of all use some double-sided tape, or I've got a tape runner here, and you can just tape this panel down. So the height doesn't matter too much. I'm going to keep it quite low because I'm going to have some embellishments sitting on here, so I want them to be quite low to the ground so they don't look like they're flying in midair there. And then I'm going to cover everything in the backing papers from the Butterfly Meadow Paper Pack. Just sticking down this last panel over the white, and I've actually left no border on here. I don't want it immediately obvious that it doesn't match with the background. I want everything to blend in nicely. So the only border I'm leaving on this panel here is the border at the edge there that we'd have in the background anyway. There we go. So the next stage is to bring in some decoration to this panel, and I'm going to be using this beautiful archway. Now I've cut this from a matte mirror card here, so I can stick that, it just fits perfectly in there. Now of course you can measure your cardstock in advance to ensure it fits, but even if it did overlap a little bit, I wouldn't mind either way because I think it would still look equally as beautiful. So I'm going to stick that down. Now I'm going to do that quite flat onto the card and build up the layers in front, so I'm going to be using my wet glue to attach that there. So the next stage is going to be to add in my wheelbarrow. Now I've cut this from a craft coloured cardstock, and as you may just be able to see on there, we've actually got a wood grain effect to it. I've taken a black pen and I've coloured in the stand here and the spokes of the wheel as well, just to give it a little more life. And I'm actually going to bring that across so it just sits on the base of the card with the wheel and the stand, and the edge of the wheelbarrow just sits on the edge of the paper here. So that gives that a nice finish just there. Now before I actually attach that down, I want to add some foliage into the wheelbarrow so it does look as if the wheelbarrow is carrying some greenery, and I've brought in my larger leaves and ferns here for this and cut one of those. So that's going to glue into here. I've actually trimmed the stem slightly so it's a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to attach that into there so it does look as if that's carrying something in there. So I can either glue this down first, or I can just use my foam tape, and this is the foam tape that I'll be using to attach my cart anyway to that base panel. So I'm just going to place that down over the centre, and that will hold both the greenery in and the wheelbarrow to the base card anyway. So we only want to stick this to this panel here, lining it up just as I said before. We don't want it coming any lower than the base of the card, of course, and just lift it up and ensure there's no glue that can be seen and nothing that's going to catch onto here. There we go. So next what I need to do is actually add some more greenery, and I've brought in the chipboard. I've actually taken each piece out, and as you can see, I've used my green blending tool on the base, yep, and that one, and the purple on the tips. Now I've done that with nearly all of the pieces that I've popped out from the chipboard. And if I just bring these over, we've got lots here. So we've got some grasses, and these flowers might not necessarily be ones that are purple, but I think the colours work really well, and by having them all similar colours, you know that everything's going to work together beautifully. Now I've also popped out some butterflies as well, so 2 little butterflies. So just move that away. So what I now need to do is be arranging these on my card and sticking them down. So using my wet glue again, I'm just going to put some glue onto the base of these. I know I want the long one on the edge of the card here. That's the tallest one there. I'm going to have this one around about here, so quite a wide one. And then you may want to do some arranging, moving around, have a look and see how everything looks. This is just being stuck to that front panel there, so that will all lift up. So what we want is a nice variation between having some that are on the front of the card here, and some, when you lift it up, are behind as well. You don't want anywhere to look too bare. There, I think. So it actually looks as if the cart has been sat there for quite a while. And then if I open this up, I want to just have a play with positioning these around the rest. So I want this one to be somewhere so that when we close the card up, you can still see it peeking out of the top there. So I think, so it looks as if, oh, I've just pulled the head off there. It looks as if it's coming out from behind these bars here. Go. So now, just before everything dries, quickly close your wheelbarrow panel there. Make sure that you're happy with everything. If you want to add any more flowers down here or greenery, of course this is the time to do that now. I'm going to add a panel. Now this has also come from these backing papers, the Happy Birthday sentiment. I'm just going to raise that up with some foam tape. Now I love that this is printed on black. It's a really nice contrast. It's going to make that sentiment really stand out. So it does look like we've got a gate to a secret garden and a wheelbarrow there that's been left for quite some time maybe. I'm just going to overlap this panel so it comes right to the edge of the card. And this really does look like somewhere that I'd quite like to explore and go rooting around, maybe have a little clear, but there's some beautiful wildflowers in there. So just a little bit of glue onto the butterflies that I mentioned earlier. I've also cut these and have them so that they're just fluttering around this Happy Birthday sentiment. Oh, I'm not sure if I put enough glue on there. Let's put a little bit more on. Just there. There we go. So then we have a really dimensional card. Like I say, we can add some more down here if we want to, but maybe if you want to put a little bit of Velcro or something on the back here so that that can attach and close the card up. But once you lift it up, you've got that gateway through to your message or your sentiment written in there.